calling all members of the in crowd. If you want to get in on the action, we want to hear from you. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in our DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast, or drop us a line on X at FadeRouteDNZ. You can find us on Facebook, The Fade Route with DNZ. We're on Spreaker. We're on YouTube, The Fade Route with DNZ. Catch our videos. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and spread the word. Coming at you from the Hey Yo Studios, it's the Fade Route with DNZ. Here are your hosts, D and Z.
Coming at you live from the Ayo Studio.
Ayo?
It's the Fade Route with D and Z. I am D, and we've got a great show tonight.
Yes, sir, we do.
Riverside holds up.
Oh, Riverside.
WNBA is adding an expansion team, 2 expansion teams. The Lions extend their quarterback, and the Lakers begin their coaching search. But we'll begin today's show with the New York Rangers and the New York Knicks. Last week, we were all optimistic about both teams and their fight to get to the conference finals. Today, both teams seem to be in a little bit of trouble. The Rangers squandered a 1-0 lead in the third period to lose 4-1 to the Hurricanes. And the exhausted Knicks dropped 2 in Indiana. Their series now tied at 2-2, and they're playing tonight. Z, which team is in more trouble?
Well, you have to take a look at the totality of things. Now, the New York Rangers had a terrible third period and a terrible Game 5. They did not post, right? They did not post, period. Carolina took it from them, and the Rangers were on their heels. Several terrible defensive miscues. A complete no-show by guys like Mika Zibanejad, by a guy like Chris Kreider, a guy like Artemi Panarin. I mean, Panarin on that back check for the goal. Just, come on. Like, you have to show some effort. You have to show some pride there. That being said, they still have more in the tank. They still have more to give, because those guys are healthy and those guys are capable of delivering a star performance, right? And yes, Adam Fox is hurt, but that's really the only major injury here. Philip Hedl missed most of the year with a concussion. He played 1 game and hasn't played since. I don't consider that a major injury. He has not been in the lineup for most of the year, right? Blake Wheeler has been out since February with a leg injury, right? He's cheering his boys on. So the Rangers have a tougher matchup than the Knicks. Absolutely. Carolina is a more formidable team. If we're going to do an apples to oranges kind of thing, I would say that the Carolina Hurricanes are a more formidable team than the Indiana Pacers when you kind of put everything together and kind of juxtapose things. The Rangers, I think the Rangers will be fine. We knew that this was not going to be a sweep. We knew this wasn't going to be the cakewalk that it seemed to be. You know, Carolina was going to show up. Carolina was going to fight with pride. The Knicks got popped. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. You got smacked around. Like, come on. And Brunson is clearly hobbled. He's clearly slowed from where he was. Right? You lost. You don't have Randall. You don't have Mitchell Robinson. This is where the back end of your bench gets exposed as the back end of your bench. Right? This is a depth challenge. Right? How many guys does Tom Thibodeau rotate out there? 7, 8, right? Something like that. 7. The Rangers constantly rolling, right? I think the only guy that they're not rolling is Rempe. Right? So you're getting VZ out there, you're getting Goodrow out there, you're getting your fourth line out there with the exception of Matt Rempe. You're rolling.
Is he like suspended or something?
No. They just don't want to put him out there because, they don't want him taking stupid penalties, and they don't want the negative attention of it because he is so big that a normal hit for him, it's not his fault that his elbow is level with a guy's head. Like, he's just tall. Sorry. Matt Rempe's just tall. So they're limiting his ice time for that. So, you're rolling 11 forwards and 6 defensemen. The Knicks are running 7 dudes out there. 7. There's no 45-minute shifts. There's no 45-second shifts, excuse me. They're rolling with their guys. So, I gotta say, do I think either team is in trouble? Not really. I think the Knicks will right the ship. I think they will be able to do that. However, they're in deeper water than the Rangers.
You saying the Knicks are in deeper water?
The Knicks are in deeper water because
for me, I'm not really worried about the Pacers, even with the Knicks being hobbled the way they are. In my opinion, the Pacers are not a good team. And I think the Knicks are a far better team. And they've shown that because even with the injuries, aside from the last game, they're in every game. They're not down by much. DiVincenzo has stepped up. Brunson's hurt, but he's playing well. Everybody's coming to play. And I know that their depth is a bit of an issue. Guys are playing that haven't really seen action most of the year. But they all get it. There is a certain bravado about being a New York Knick this year, and all these guys kind of get it. They know how to play the game. They know how to play defense.
Yeah.
And they're finding buckets from everywhere. Listen, it's not even the second quarter here, and they've already got over 30 points. So it's everybody's kind of okay. Now, on the flip side, with the Rangers, the Panthers are good, man. And, even though the Rangers were up 3-0, and now they're currently up 3-2, each game was close. Two of the games went into overtime. The Panthers are a formidable opponent. They've been knocking on the door for the last couple of years. The Panthers, the Hurricanes and the Panthers, they don't play, man. Well, those teams are ready to go. So, yeah.
More than likely, if the Rangers advance, the next opponent will be the Panthers. So there you go. Right. You already got Panthers on the brain.
Yeah, I do. But the Canes, they are a formidable opponent. Like I said, they've been knocking on the door. And, you gave them an inch. Now they took a foot. And if they win the next game,
all bets are off.
All bets are off. The only thing that the Rangers and the Knicks too have in their favor is if you force the game 7, you're playing at home. And let me tell you, if the Pacers are able to come into Madison Square Garden and beat the Knicks in game 7, they deserve it. And if the Hurricanes are able to come into Madison Square Garden in game 7 and win, then they deserve it. But I am even though the Rangers have a lead and the Knicks are tied 2-2, I am terrified of the Hurricanes, man. Terrified.
No, you have every right to be terrified of the Hurricanes. They were the second best team in the Eastern Conference. So,
number 1 against the penalty kill.
Mm-hmm. But you know what?
And where the fuck is Panarin? Where is Panarin? One shot on goal.
He's stuck in the first round.
It's just not going to work, man. It's not going to work.
What's not going to work
to me, he's the X factor. He's the key. He's got to come to play. I agree. Zibanejad, where's he been? But they're gunning for him. They've taken him out, and that's understandable. They're not stupid. They're not gonna let him beat them. Okay, but Panarin, you got to get more than one shot on goal. Shit, I could get a shot on goal in 30 seconds on the ice.
Not the way Carolina's playing that defense, though.
I'll just flick it up there. I'll flick it out. I'll flick it up there.
But
I'll wrist shot it.
But that happened to that's what happened with Natchez. Laviolette pulled the goalie. He pulled Shesterkin. It was a 6-on-4. They could not get a puck to the net to save their lives. And then Natchez turns around and buries it.
Buried it.
Like, that was it. So the Carolina Hurricanes are playing tighter defense. They're forcing you to the outside. You have to get in. And if you're going to get in, that is Chris Kreider. That is the guy who's got to do it. He's got to get his big fucking ass in front of the net, screen the goalie, get the dirty goals. He's got to be Adam Graves. They've been kissing his ass like he was Adam Graves. Now's the time for him to become Adam fucking Graves. So there you go. Panarin, I don't know. Like, at this point in time, like, yeah, he was very good in the Washington series. Washington barely deserved to be in the playoffs as it turned out, right? A negative 37 goal differential. They lucked their way into the playoffs. This is the next one. And if they happen to get past the Hurricanes, you got Sasha Barkov waiting for you. You got Aaron Ekblad waiting for you. You have a very formidable Florida Panther team. And you know what? Don't count out the Bruins. Don't fuck around. Don't count the Bruins out either. Don't.
Panthers aren't fucking around, man.
No. And if you happen to get through them, you probably got the Dallas fucking Stars waiting for you. The Dallas Stars or the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we knew they weren't going to go undefeated.
No.
I mean, we knew that wasn't going to happen. It was nice to think so, but yeah, I mean, they've got to really try to wrap things up in Carolina tomorrow night and call it a day. But
for both teams, a 16-game heater is not sustainable. It's not realistic. And I don't hear shit from PK Subban on PTI saying that every Ranger fan was thinking they were going to run the table. Ranger fans don't believe that for a second. Like, they understand.
Stay in your lane, PK.
PK Subban, you know not of what you speak. So just because you showed up at 2 Ranger games, and I was like, what the fuck is he doing there? So, like, that is where, watch from the stands, all right? Don't comment about Ranger fans, because realistically, you don't know what you're talking about. So it's very similar to a lot of, pundits talking shit about Mets fans. So it's a lot of pundits talking shit about Yankee fans. You don't know what you speak of. Stay in your lane as a former player, right? You know about what's on the ice, not what's in the stands. The only person that knows what happened in the stands was Mike Milbury, because he was beating the shit out of a guy with his own shoe.
Avoid messy accidents. Get better stopping power with your brake pads. Callahan brake pads. You never know when you'll be driving in the road and there will be a truck tire that you need to avoid and save your family. Callahan Auto. We really care about what's under your hood.
Anyways, let's move over to basketball.
A more civilized sport.
Lakers are beginning their search for a new head coach. Now, considering Frank Vogel won a championship in the bubble, but then he was fired. Darvin Ham got the team to the conference finals last year. He was fired. I think Mike Brown had a decent record as the head coach. So where should the Lakers look for the next head coach?
The question is, before you even think about the coach, is LeBron going to be there? That determines what you're going to do, right?
How so?
Because he's going to want say.
You think so?
I think so.
He cares?
7 coaches and 7 out of 9 got fired. So yeah, I think he does. So, I mean, if you take the temperature of the league. Frank Vogel just got fired again in Phoenix. And now Budenholzer's there.
Do you understand that? Do you understand why Frank Vogel got fired? Why?
I do. The owner's a schmuck. That's why.
Oh, okay.
The owner's a schmuck.
I mean, you would agree. I think Frank Vogel's a good coach.
He's a good coach.
I think he coached well for the Pacers when they had Paul George and company. He coached the Lakers in the bubble, won a championship, even had a good record the next season. I think they had a good. I think they played well the next. Or was that the year LeBron was hurt and they didn't do well? But I
They've
thought
been
he
knocking on the door. They were respectable under Frank
I thought he
Vogel.
was a good coach, and then
He is.
in Phoenix, you can't blame him for what happened in Phoenix.
No.
You got Kevin Durant, who again, like LeBron, has had 8 coaches the last 10 years. I think Devin Booker's had 8 coaches the last 10 years, which is wild.
Yeah. And you know what? That falls on Matt Ishbia. That whole thing in Phoenix falls on Matt Ishbia. Plain and simple. Now, the question becomes, like, if LeBron's not going to be there, like, you have more wiggle room because you don't have this hand-picked yes man who's just going to do whatever the hell LeBron wants. At this point in his time, he's going to be 40, 41 years old. He's going to want his kid there. He's going to want certain concessions to stay, right? He's going to have certain things that you need to meet. It's like a writer in a contract for like a singer or a band, like the whole brown M&Ms thing from Van Halen. You had to have brown M&Ms or else they were going to walk. LeBron, you got to have Bronny or I'm not going to play. I got to have say over the control of the coach, right? We gotta make these things happen. We need to have partnership between myself and the front office. Right. So if he's not there, I think you open it up to more interesting candidates. Like a guy like Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah.
He would be a very good fit for the Lakers. He's a teacher. He's a motivator. He's a damn good head coach. He was a damn good head coach in Brooklyn that got scapegoated in favor of Steve Nash. Right? So, and then it's just ridiculous that he's been the assistant coach in Golden State for a while. He was the assistant head coach. Kind of that Fugazi promotion. But a guy like Kenny Atkinson, I think, would be great. But would a guy like LeBron James, would LeBron James be willing to take coaching from a guy like Kenny Atkinson? I don't know, man. He wouldn't do it for Mike Brown. He wouldn't do it for David Blatt. He wouldn't do it for...
He wouldn't do it for Mike Brown. He did it for Mike Brown. He did it for Mike down in Cleveland. And he's the main reason probably Mike Brown got hired in L.A. And he listened to Ty Lue. He listened to Ty Lue.
Yeah, he listened to Ty Lue got the fuck out of Dodge. Ty Lue got the fuck out of Dodge. So, I mean, that's all you need to know. Like, if I see the wake in his path, I just see the wake in his path.
I think the answer is clear on who should be the next head coach of the Lakers.
Who?
And that's LeBron James should be the player coach. They should take away the rule where, a player can't be a coach. They used to have player coaches 20, 40 years ago.
Wasn't Magic a player coach for like a game?
I feel like he was, but they got to bring back the player coach. Let LeBron coach. We talked about this a couple months ago, how close the NBA was to not having coaches at all and having players run teams. This is the start right here. LeBron, if you stay, coach the team, we'll draft your son, you got everything you want. I think that's the way to go. They can't get Ty Lue because he's with the Clips. They can't get Budenholzer because he's heading to the desert. And he runs the same system Darvin Ham runs because Darvin Ham is a disciple of Budenholzer. I don't know why anybody would want Doc Rivers, but you can't have him either because he's already got a job.
The freaking Mavericks locked up Jason Kidd just to be on the safe side.
Right. I mean, I would say maybe I think Kenny Atkins is great because he's a good basketball guy. He's been around. He's been in Brooklyn. He was with the Sixers. He was also with the Warriors. Mm-hmm. He knows basketball. My man knows basketball. You could go the Sam Cassell route. It's probably time that Sam Cassell got his due. I think this stuff about JJ Redick is garbage. That guy should not be a coach of a team. That would just be a cynical locker room. That gives no credibility to the Lakers or the sport. So that's garbage if he gets the job.
Well, pause right there.
How about Jay Wright? How about Jay Wright?
Interesting.
I mean, I know they're bringing in Mike Krzyzewski to kind of help, find a guy. But maybe
interesting.
I think Jay Wright would be great. Jay Wright would fit great in LA.
Oh yeah, he would be like, I mean,
Best guy in basketball, man.
Pat Riley 2.0, slick back hair, the suits, you know, I can see that. I can definitely see that. My concern is this with LeBron James as the player coach.
LeBron.
So who's he going to throw under the bus when they're losing?
Yeah, that's the only problem.
Me!
Like
I did it. It's my fault. It was my fault. No,
he's gonna have to take some responsibility there. But it's something he's never done before, right? You know,
Yeah.
this is another notch on your belt if you were trying to get something. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. But that would be my order. I'd say, you know, try to get Kenny. I think Sam Cassell is due, and then Jay Wright. I'd stay away from JJ Redick.
Well, he's no less qualified than Steve Nash was when he took the Brooklyn Nets job.
Yeah.
So,
the Orlando Magic didn't even want to hire that guy.
I
Why
would
would the Lakers do it?
argue that Steve Nash is more qualified now. So now he's had some seasoning. So okay, you paid your dues a little bit. If you want to get back in, sure, have an interview, sure, why not? But I don't understand. Like, did you see this Doug Gottlieb thing too? He went from media. Now he's the head coach at Wisconsin Green Bay. Like, what the hell? Why can't teams and organizations allow coaches or find coaches that have paid their dues?
Yeah, like they were talking about the Minnesota assistant coach, but I don't think LeBron would respect him. I don't think that would really work out. But another team that has some decisions to make is the LA Clippers. They are set to open a new arena in a few years, and they have a long list of aging stars and no titles to compensate for that. Can you believe Kawhi Leonard has been in LA for 5 years? I read that today. I couldn't believe he's been there for 5 years.
It's been wow.
And with Paul George entering the last year of his deal, what should the Clippers do with this team?
You already know.
Well, if I'm Paul George, if I'm Paul George, I'm asking out. Kawhi don't play. We're not winning. Like, we haven't won. Like, what makes you think that with everybody a year older, that we're going to suddenly beat the Nuggets in a fucking 7-game series? Like,
right.
I don't see how, if you're Paul George and you're looking at this and you're like, man, I really want to come back. Why? To play with Westbrook, Harden, and Kawhi, who doesn't really play? Like, your best years are behind you. So if I'm Paul, I'm asking for a trade. I'm like, listen, guys, it's been great. You got the new arena coming. I got 1 year left on my deal. Like, try to get something for me now. And I would take a trade to the 76ers. I would take a trade to the Heat. If you're willing to move me within conference, I'll happily go to Golden State. I'll gladly play for the Dallas Mavericks. And I'd even try with the Spurs. That's fair. What I would. That's if I'm Paul George. I'm just being honest with them. I'm gonna pull a Billy Bean. We're not gonna be better next year.
No, you can't. You can't expect another year of Kawhi Leonard and his aging knees.
He don't play.
He doesn't play.
He don't play. And the thing about it is like when they were making the move for him, and it was all about like Kawhi's knees are fine. Kawhi can play. He's not fine. He's always hurt. He can't play. He cannot go 65, 60, 50 games and then play in a playoff, man. He missed, 2 games in the playoffs? He missed at least 1 game? It's just like, dude, this is when we need you, man.
Masai Ujiri got the best out of Kawhi Leonard.
He did. He played his cards right. He got, and you know what? It's good for him that he didn't go back to Toronto because they would be fucked right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good thing you got rid of that guy, even though they offered him the sun, the moon, the stars to stay. And it's just, it's sad, but this is who he is.
Unfortunately. And then now you got James Harden. Well, how quickly is he going to lose interest?
But he's going to fester. He's going to fester because he feels he should be the guy.
He is the fucking system.
I am the system.
I am the system.
I am the game.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And then Russell Westbrook. Why are they collecting old Thunder players?
Well, no, it seemed like a good idea last year.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Well, you figured they were close, right? You figured, okay, Harden's here, Paul George is here, and we're going to take the load off Kawhi so maybe he could finish a fucking season and a playoff. And that's not what happened. They all were missing games. But Kawhi missed the most games.
Then you look at the rest of this roster.
And I think Paul George, at this point in his career, could look in the mirror and kind of pull a KD and be like, you know what? I know what I am.
Yeah.
Like, I really believe that's what happened with Kevin Durant when he was in Oklahoma City. He looked in the mirror. He's like, I know who I am. I'm not going to win with these guys. We could run this back 10 times and we're going to lose 10 times. I'm better off going somewhere where they've already won. And I'm going to help them keep winning. Right? That's the kind of situation where Paul George needs to think about. I got to go to a place where they've already won, and I'm going to help them either get back to their winning ways or keep winning. Because that's who you are. You're not LeBron James. You're not Jokic. You're not Jimmy Butler. Like, that's not who you are. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There are A-level players, B-level players, C-level players, D-level players, F-level players. Paul George is a solid B. He's a solid B. He's not an A. He ain't an A+. He's a solid B.
I already know
they got a bunch of B's on that team. Because even Kawhi, at one point, Kawhi was an A, but that was like for 1 year. Because even when he was in San Antonio, he's, I'm not saying he wasn't the best player in that team. I'm just saying there was a lot of good things happening on that team.
He was the sixth man until Manu Ginobili couldn't go, and then they swapped him in. So, that's kind of where it was. Like, he wrote the code.
That's a little mean. It's a little mean. I mean, he did play best defense on LeBron. He did play the best defense on LeBron.
That's good. Wonderful. Good job. He's Andre Iguodala. Oh, that was that a low blow? That might have been a low blow. And I already know how Paul George's conversation is going to go with the Clippers. I'm the only winner on the team. The rest of them are losers, either by choice or by birth.
I don't think he's like that. But that whole playoff P
bullshit
and PG-13 was just a bad idea, man. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. What was he before 30? He was 23, wasn't he? He was 23 before he was 13.
I think so.
You got to go back to the 23 and forget the whole.
Well, he ain't Jordan either.
Image thing.
He isn't Jordan either.
He ain't Jordan either, but I feel like he was better when he was 23. That 13.
He was better when he was on the Pacers.
Maybe even go back to the Nuggets. Go back to the Thunder if they'll have you.
I mean, they have a good thing going.
They don't need anything though. They don't need anybody.
But this situation is untenable. Like, you have all these egos. You have all these guys who used to be A's. Right? You're absolutely right. Harden used to be an A. Westbrook used to be an A.
Was he really an A, though, Z? I mean, was he really an A? I mean, he was on a bad Rockets team just taking a lot of shots, man. Like, there was a thing Bill Simmons was saying, and I thought it was really good. It's like, well, you were racking up a lot of points on a bad team. Does that make you good? What about when the team is good? Are you still racking up a lot of points?
Right.
That's the way I look at it. Like, Paul George, I can honestly say, like, when he was in Indiana, that was a good team. Like, he fit in very well with the team. Right. And I think who was the coach then? It was Vogel. Vogel was the coach.
Yeah, it was Vogel. Frank Vogel.
So, I don't, Russell Westbrook, that 1 year where he was getting triple-doubles and won the MVP, he was just going apeshit. Like, he was chucking it up. He was just going nuts. I mean, do you really consider him an A for that? I think they got bounced in the first or the second round. I don't know if
he was probably a solid A for a few years when he was with the Thunder. Before he decided that he wanted to be more than he was. But again,
that was like a really good team,
that
right?
That was a friggin', him, Durant, Harden, Serge Ibaka. That was a loaded team. Kendrick Perkins, yeah. Like
Collison.
Nick Collison, yes. Oh my God. Nick Collison. Yeah.
Nick Collison, Jeremy Lamb, I think, was on that team.
Loaded. Absolutely loaded. Another team,
So I'm trying to say, like, I don't remember
Underachievers.
They're Bs. They're B players. And, you know, you need to put on your big boy pants. And who's going to be the leader? Like, even though Kawhi was out, there's no reason they should have lost that series. Like, you're still got James Harden. Yeah. You still got Paul George. You still, like, have a good coach. And they couldn't do anything. They got into so much isolation basketball. And it was clear that they played right into, they were playing the Thunder, right?
In the first round, they played the Mavericks.
The Mavericks. They were playing right into what the Mavericks wanted them to do, right? They forced them into iso ball. Yeah. They made once the ball went to one side of the court, the Mavericks wouldn't let them rotate, and it got into one-on-one, show me what you can do. You played right into their hands.
But that's the funny thing, because that's what James Harden wants to do anyway. That's what Russ wants to do anyway. So it's not like...
Yeah, but like 5 years ago, that's fine. But not now. That's what they want you to do, because they know you're going to fucking miss the shot. or turn the ball over. Or, you know, so, you know, and for me, I feel like I think Ty Lue figured it out, but it took too long for the players to figure out what they were doing. And instead of playing into what they want you to do, you didn't adjust your game, and you weren't efficient. You didn't hit shots. That's the other part of the problem. Like, who's the leader of this fucking team? Who's gonna stop the bleeding? There's nobody on that team could stop the bleeding.
No.
And yeah. So sticking with basketball, but moving over to the other gender, the WNBA is expanding, and they've added an expansion team in Golden State, and Toronto has been awarded a franchise which will have their first season in 2026. The WNBA has been subsidized by the NBA since its existence. Most of the teams don't generate any real revenue. So, should the WNBA be adding another franchise too? I don't get it.
It's a loss leader. It is a loss leader for the NBA. I understand that, but they're striking while the iron is hot regarding the popularity of women's sports and the popularity of women's basketball in particular. Right? There is a resurgence. There is a boom. Right? You saw Angel Reese. You saw Caitlin Clark. All of these guys, all these ladies that drew eyeballs and drew attention, they're now coming into the league. The hope is that that continues and it further grows the sport. It's a lot like the NWSL in soccer. The U.S. women's national team, the individual players are kind of interspersed throughout the league, and the idea is that they're enough of a draw to kind of rise the tides here and then float the boats. That's what they're banking for. They need more people. They need more stars. Now, having Brittany Griner back, when she gets back healthy, I think will be helpful. You're going to have Caitlin Clark. People are going to come out. They're going to want to see what she can do. They're going to want to see what
tonight.
Oh yeah, that's the first time the Connecticut Sun have sold out
in 20 years
since their move to Connecticut. So like that's it. That's their first sellout since opening night of their franchise. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's billionaires kind of trying to hedge their bet. Like these are people, in my opinion, that can't get another professional team. You know, like, okay, you know, let's get a women's basketball team because, like you said, it's on the rise, right? I believe the value of the franchises have all grown the last 2 years. But even where Toronto's going to be playing, there's only 8,000. It only has room for 8,000 fans.
Right.
So, you know, my whole thing is like, where are you going to be able to generate revenue if your arena can only hold 8,000 people? Like, we're trying to get into an age, they were trying to push for this because apparently the WNBA, they don't charter their own flights. They fly commercial.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get to a situation where they can charter their own flights. And I don't see how increasing the amount of teams is going to do that. Okay, yes, you've got 5 or 6 stars that are coming in the league this year. You got Paige Beckers, you've got Angel Reese, and you've got Caitlin Clark. Wouldn't it be better, though, if you had 12 of those type players going to less teams so that a Paige Beckers could team up with a Caitlin Clark? Like, wouldn't that be more appealing than having them spread out? And you're going to waste Caitlin Clark in playing in an 8,000 seat arena? Or do you want to have it so that every time Caitlin Clark comes to town, it's a spectacle where you're going to play at the Barclays, and you play at Madison Square Garden, and you're going to play at the, all these big arenas just because she comes to town? That's circus talk, man. Like, listen, I'm all for the women's game. I'm excited to see her play, and I'm excited to see them play. But I just think we're jumping the gun here. Okay, I think we need a couple more years of this kind of turnout of a player than to jump all over this and say, oh, well, we've got an influx of good players. Let's create more teams. No, we shouldn't be. No. Let's get profitable. Let's sell out that 8,000 seat arena for 7 or 8 games when Caitlin Clark is not in town. Now we're talking, right? If you can push the envelope and you can get a lot of people go to these games when your big players aren't in town, well, we're talking about something, And I think we're getting close. And I was surprised to read how many billionaires want. I was surprised to see how many billionaires actually wanted a WNBA franchise. There's a list. There's a line of them that want. So there's definitely a market. It's not going to go. I don't think it's going to go away. It's what I'm trying to say. So like you've got Golden State today, Toronto tomorrow, but these things would be here in 5 years when maybe the sport, matures more. Like, we're on the right trajectory now. And to think about it is like, I don't know how much different this is than 10, 15, 20 years ago when you had Sue Bird, you had Diana Taurasi. The difference is like she was the only one coming out, where now you got 3 or 4 girls coming out.
Right. The talent pool is richer. The talent pool is definitely richer.
This year.
And it's growing. I don't
know what's going to happen. It's growing, but at what rate? Like, you don't want to, like, think about when we were watching like the NBA. We both agreed had a really good season this year because teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Minnesota Timberwolves were good, right? And they were good. Why? Because there was an influx of talent about 5 years ago, and now they've blossomed. Now we're here. Where 10 years ago, those teams were garbage. Those teams were shit. We weren't watching them play, So I don't know. I feel like I get why the billionaires are trying to get in now because they see it's coming. My whole thing is it's not here yet, and you just don't know. So, you have all these women asking for, more money and a larger salary and to compete with the men, but by increasing the teams, I think you're deflating that. I think you're decreasing your opportunity for that.
I don't necessarily agree for the standpoint that these are the things that if you're a professional athlete, you should be treated like a professional athlete regardless of gender. There are certain things, there are certain things that are, expected, or certain things that would be nice. And I think that it should be equal. It should be equal. So, especially in an instance, going back to women's soccer, they generate the winning, right? They actually generate the eyeballs. They generate the winning. The men's soccer team is along for the ride, but the men's soccer team gets all the money. So there is an inequity in sports that needs to be corrected, and we're on the right path to correcting that inequity. And the charter thing, it's a small step, right? But you look at it and, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But the last thing you want to do is, you know...
No, there's definitely... Yeah. And there's clearly a market for it. I mean, like I said, the articles I was reading, there is a line of people that want a WNBA franchise. There are 5 different groups that are vying for one. They want to put one in Portland. That's the other thing they want. There's definitely a market for it. I'm just trying to say is, it's like I don't know if that devalues your product, because now you have an influx of good players, right?
Yeah.
And instead of them all playing on one team, you're going to spread them out to a bunch of teams, where I think it would be much more valuable if, you know, if you had more talent that were teaming up, as opposed to expecting like a Sue Bird type player to go to this Toronto team.
Right. But then you're only, by the other side of the coin is then you're only running like 8 cities. You're only going to run like the original, right? You had the Charlotte Sting, the Houston Comets. Those teams aren't there anymore, man. So it's one of those things that, you know, like it's all, I mean, we were talking about contraction last week with the Marlins. I understand where you're coming from, and I completely understand what you're going to do.
You were talking about contraction with Marlins.
They deserve to be contracted. Peter Bendix, the long-lost Jonas brother, that putz. But, you know, if you go, I mean, the cat's out of the bag on that. They're not in the business of contraction right now, and they're going to want to get in now when the price tag is low, right, compared to 5 years from now when it's going to be 10 times as much. It could potentially blossom, and it makes financial sense. It makes financial sense from that standpoint. If I'm Steve Ballmer, sure, I'll buy one now. And maybe I'll flip it in 5 years and make a killing. Right. Yeah, so, sounds like a bomber thing. That sounds like a bomb. Well, he sounds like he's a jock if I ever seen one.
Step outside of your safe area and make a statement without saying much with FCK Clout Lifestyle Apparel. Embrace the colorful chaos and stay emotionally regulated in their hoodies, snapbacks, graphic tees, accessories, and more. Season 3 merch is up now. Get it while you can. Go to fckclout.com and get all of your needs from men and women. That's fckclout.com.
We were very tempted to talk about the NFL schedule release is going to be tomorrow, but there's no point in getting into that because the games are the games. They're played, whatever. So let's talk about the Lions. They opened up on the road and thumped the Chiefs last year in the opening game. And they decided to make Jared Goff a bigger part of their future with a $212 million extension and $176 million guaranteed. The 4-year extension makes Jared Goff the highest paid player in Lions history. Do you like this move by the Lions? But seriously, about the NFL schedule, like, who gives a fuck? Like, the schedule's releasing tomorrow, so what? Oh my God, the Baltimore Ravens are gonna play the Chiefs in the opener. Oh my, who cares? I mean, I'll get excited for it when it happens. Like,
isn't there a Brazil game on Friday that first week? Are they playing? I think so.
I don't really understand the excitement over the NFL schedule release. It seems really just silly. Like, especially since like 8 of the games are already predetermined, right? You're going to play the team in your division twice.
Right.
Like, we've already established that. So it's like, and then we already know who the opponents are. So when they play them, whether it's October, November, Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Friday, who gives a, I don't give a shit. But I just think it's so silly. Listen, I like football more than, I like football like the average person. And I get excited for things, but the NFL schedule release is like, what?
You mean you're not pumped up for Jets Niners? You mean you're not fired up for that Robert Saleh show?
What did I text you? When
yes, you did.
31-0 thump to open up the season on Monday Night Football.
And what did I say to you? You
said no, they'll compete.
Robert Saleh's a good coordinator. He's not a good coach. He's not a good head coach.
Listen,
Niners will still win.
I think it's actually funny that they decided to let the Jets open up on Monday Night Football in San Francisco, where I think Rodgers is 6-7 against the 49ers and 0-7 in the playoffs lifetime.
The magic number is 4. The magic number is 4. He needs to make more than 4. He needs to be under center more than 4 times, and it's a win. Actually, if the 5th time he's under center, count it. Just end the game, give the Jets the W, and move on.
I'm with Greeny. I think they should just start Tyrod in that game. Don't even bother, man.
Oh,
I'd
Jesus.
be scared against that defensive line.
Oh, my God. Yeah. No,
they're not. They already were talking about how they were trying to find a replacement for the offensive coordinator. They were trying to replace Hackett. They wanted to find someone else that could run the show. You hear that kind of noise come out, and you're going to send this guy cross country to face the 49er defense?
No.
Where they're all healthy the first week,
right?
First game right. 1 against 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Run the ball. Run the fucking football.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. Oh, let's get Breece Hall hurt instead.
Run the ball. Just run the football,
Sorry,
man.
Breece. Sorry. Oh my God. But as far as Jared Goff goes, I mean, he earned it. I gotta say, I don't know if it's $176 million guarantee. That seems a little bit rich to me. But I mean, he definitely earned the extension. As far as being the highest paid Lion, come on now. What are we talking about here? What, Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, those guys probably should have been the highest paid. Okay, and then who else? I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Scott Mitchell? Are we gonna pay Scott Mitchell? No. Are we going back? How far back in history?
Scott Mitchell. That's a good Nate Burleson.
It's a deep cut. It's a deep Joey Harrington. There we go. There are some deep cuts from Lions history. Mike Williams, not that one, the other one.
So I was interested to see this. I don't know if I sent this to you or not, but so since the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade, both guys have 24 wins. Mm-hmm. They both have a completion percentage of 66%. Jared Goff has 78 touchdown passes. Stafford has 75. Both have 41 turnovers. Both of them have taken up. Jared's taken 89 sacks. Stafford's taken 88 sacks.
That's remarkable.
And first down attempts 35%, both of them, and yards after catch completion 5.5. How even is that? That might be the most even trade of all time. The only difference is Stafford has a Super Bowl already.
The other thing is last year head to head, who won? Lions. Jared Goff. Jared MF Goff. So, I mean, he's earned it. He played his ass off. He rescued his career because it wasn't looking great, and he was getting trashed out in LA, probably unfairly so. Right now, it's a very rich contract, and that, again, we talked about rising tides floating boats. Now we have to talk about who's going to get paid more than him, right? Because now we've opened the door for that. Who's going to get paid more than him? So is it going to be Tua? Who's next on the list? Yes, Jared Goff got his money. Kirk Cousins has gotten his money 3 times.
I'll tell you what, if Kyler has a good season this year, it might be Kyler.
Well, I don't really foresee that one happening, but I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Yeah,
it could be Tua. It could be Tua. But I would put my money on Kyler if he comes out this year throwing a gun in it. Yeah, I mean, like I told you, I liked what the Cardinals did. I really did I think they had a really good draft. They have Marvin Harrison, who's refusing to sign the NFLPA agreement, which I don't understand. What? They just signed the damn paper. What are you talking about here? What do you want? Who are you, Michael Jordan? Charles Barkley? What are you talking about?
So you don't want to be part of the union? What is this?
He doesn't want to. He is not signing the licensing, so he can't use video games. They can't create his jersey. None of that shit. He won't sign it.
That's ridiculous. Stuff like that is probably another symptom of the NIL. Because how much was he probably getting paid to Ohio State? It's probably the cut is probably not worth his.
And who his dad is. His dad probably was telling him like, "Oh, I got fucked over on this. Don't sign it."
Yeah, well, guess what? Like, you have done jack shit in this league. You've walked across and hugged Roger Goodell. That's what you've done in this league. Ugats is what you've done in this league.
Yeah, I mean, so to go back to the Lions, I'll go out on a limb and say I like what they did. If anything we've learned about Jared Goff, he's a winner. Like, the Rams got the pick right. I mean, he's still around. He's doing well. Wentz is not. He's gone to Super Bowls. He's gone to NFC Championship games. He's done it with 2 different teams. He's accurate. He can throw. He makes good decisions. Yeah, it's hard to disagree with the move.
No, it's definitely it's hard to disagree with the move. Now, I mean, from the standpoint of highest paid Lion ever, I don't know about that. So that's the one thing that sticks in my craw, because you're looking like, who is the best Detroit Lion ever? You can argue Barry Sanders, you can argue Calvin Johnson, right?
Didn't they have like a really good running back one time? Not Barry Sanders. Wasn't there another guy?
Theo Riddick,
Billy
Amir
Sims?
Abdullah.
Billy Sims?
Wasn't Billy Sims? Yeah, Billy Sims.
Billy Sims is a Lion, right?
Yeah. So, it's one of those things that
I have to say that if you played on the team that didn't win any fucking games, and that's Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford, you're eliminated from that conversation. You don't get talked about as a great because you played on a team that won no games. 0. I don't care how good you are. Like, you played on a team that won 0 games, I don't want to hear it.
Very fair. I mean, that's fair. So that leaves you Barry Sanders, Jared Goff, Billy Sims. There you go. So, I mean, Barry Sanders is a generational talent. Absolutely. I mean, Jared Goff is proving to be a very good quarterback. 67% completion rating. That's good. It's very good. So if he stays on this trajectory, he'll make it look like chump change, right? Particularly if he delivers the Super Bowl to Detroit. Then it's worth its weight in gold. As of right now, I mean, it's a move that needed to be done. I'm okay with it. I don't. The guaranteed money gets me every time. The guaranteed money gets me. Like, Deshaun Watson has a fully guaranteed contract, right? Kirk Cousins has $100 million guaranteed. Like, come on now. Like, we're spending like drunken sailors here. Like, what are we doing here? And why is this the norm? I get you want to keep your quarterbacks happy. I get you want to do all these things, but at the same time, it is a cap league, so you kind of want to be careful with these kind of things. Not everybody's Tom Brady. Not everybody's going to take less money. Not everybody's going to defer money down the road. So ultimately, it's something that could potentially bite them in the ass as he gets older, right? Like, as everybody, Father Time is undefeated, unless we're talking about Tom Brady. But eventually, skills erode, right? Talent eventually fades, and then you're going to get stuck with the bill. So you just have to be careful when you're doing these things. But there's enough acumen between the ears with Jared Goff that I think he will more than make up for this down the road. And I think he will prove that it's a good decision. And believe it or not, like, we're going to see a Lombardi trophy to the Detroit Lions in a few years. Probably within the next 3 years, I would say. Like, that would be a conservative bet. The way that they're playing and the way that they've constructed their team, they're here to stay. And Jared Goff is rewarded for his contribution to that team. Good for you, Jared.
Are you in need of air care maintenance or service? I have the company for you. Air Care Technicians. They service the Westchester and Northern Bronx area and can help you with all your heating and cooling, maintenance, and service needs. Just give them a call at 914-315-5555 914-315-1547. Again, that's 914-315-1547. Or shoot them an email at aircaretechnicians@gmail.com. These guys are the real deal, as they are veteran-owned, licensed, and insured. Make sure to tell them that D&Z sent you.
More or less?
All right, boys and girls, we have a statement. It's either more or less likely that it's going to happen. More or less. Number one, Max Fried will regret coming out of a game in which he allowed no hits through 7 innings.
More likely. I don't understand what the hell they were thinking. And the fucking game went into extra innings. Like, the next pitcher didn't give up any hits either. And then the third guy gave up hits to give a run. And then they went extra innings. I don't understand this. I don't understand the mechanics. We're early in the season. It's May. What are we worried about? Let him keep pitching. What are you taking him out for?
I guess say it's more likely as well.
You're not that good, bro. You're not going to get a chance like this again.
No, he definitely won't, but I think he will also be more of a bulldog out there. Like, he is coming off of injury and he's trying to find his way back. I understand that. But at the same time, as he gets more healthy, as he gets more confident in his arm, like, he'll demand the ball. Especially if he's pitching a no-hitter. Come on. Now, I understand the whole analytics thing. Oh, we don't want them going through the lineup 3 times. The 3rd time through the order. Well, yeah, because he's tired. Like, that's how it works. Jackass. Like, come on now. I would be tired too. So I understand how this metric works. But at some point, you have to push through. At some point, you have to say, fuck it. I am going to do this. Like, perfect example. He pitches for the Braves. Greg fucking Maddux. Come on now. Yeah, he was 5 and fly a lot. But then he pitched his ass off and he went deep into games. So you gotta know when to turn it on. You gotta know when I've given all I can give. But if you're pitching a no-hitter, kind of need to be a little selfish there, buddy. Like, you kind of need to kind of go in there and say, like, I'm the best option you got right now. Joe Jimenez? No. Raisel Iglesias? No. Give me the fucking ball, Skip. Give me the fucking ball. That's what you're paying me for. So, Max Fried's going to kick himself for that one. Absolutely, he's gonna. More or less. Number 2. Nikola Jokic has won his last MVP award.
All right, well, let's see. Michael got 5. Kareem got 6. I was surprised to see Hakeem Olajuwon didn't have any. And this is Jokic's 3rd, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like other people are coming. Like Wemby.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And, I'm sure, Giannis could get back in there.
SGA.
Embiid is always competing SGA.
Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I think he's got at least one more in him. So I'm going to say less likely.
I gotta say more likely. Because we also did, Luka. Like, there are a lot of guys. So, the NBA is probably dying to give one to Jason Tatum.
That's interesting. You say Luka. Has Luka ever won one?
Well, Luka can win another one.
Oh, he's won one before?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't think so. But he could definitely be in the conversation for one.
Nope, he's never won one.
But he can definitely be in the conversation for one.
He did win a scoring title, though.
There you go. So, he can, if the Mavericks are trending in the right direction, so Luka could probably, be in the conversation here. Now,
as long as Kyrie plays nicely, they are trending in the right direction.
That's the thing. How long can you bank on Kyrie playing nice. Right? Now, you have a lot of potential for this, right? We've listed just like the tip top, right? In a stretch, like if somebody has an equatorial season, right? Like an equatorial hot season, or like if a Karl Anthony Towns like explodes and has like an all-time season, they'll give him one, right? You have plenty of high caliber talent here in the NBA, right? So it's certainly within the realm of possibility that they can start picking off some of Jokic's MVP awards. And in fairness, this most recent one, you could have given it to SGA.
Yep.
There's an argument for SGA.
Could have given it to Anthony Edwards, too.
You could have given it to Anthony Edwards. Like, there's an argument to be made there. I know you don't think as highly of Tyrese Halliburton as I do. I think maybe one day he could be in this conversation. Like, you mentioned Paolo Banchero last week. Paolo Banchero could possibly be in this. Who knows?
Yeah,
if Trae Young ever blossoms into the guy that they expected in Atlanta, which how the fuck did Atlanta win the draft lottery, by the way, since we're going to talk about that?
Well, what's going to happen to that guy, actually? Is he going to stay in Atlanta? Are they going to trade him?
I don't know. It makes you wonder. Like, if they're committed to building around Trae Young, then maybe you deal the number one pick because you don't have a generational player this year. You don't have a Wembanyama. You might take that kid. I think it's another kid out of France. So
there's two kids. Yeah, there's two kids out of France that are decent.
Yeah. So if you don't value that and somebody else does, maybe you can rebuild on the fly here if you're the Hawks and Landry Fields. But I mean, I've seen enough of Trae Young. So if I'm them, I might be in the market to move him and just kind of rebuild. But that's another guy. If he ever blossomed into what they thought he was going to be, Trae Young could be in the conversation for sure. So it all depends on Jokic's interest, because he is he's a very Anthony Rendon type guy. Basketball is my job. I clock in, I clock out, and then I go play with my horses. Like that I go back and I race horses. He's very matter of fact. He's very open about this. So as long as he's engaged, he can win one. But the moment he's like, I don't really give a shit anymore, but who knows when that will be, when he checks out. So the moment he checks out, I really don't think that, I think that these other talents are going to pass him by. More or less, number 3, the Dallas Stars will close out the Avalanche in Game 5.
Yeah, I just don't like the body language of the Avalanche right now, and I think one of their best players just got suspended, right?
Nichushkin, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a wrap for them, but they had a really good run. So I'm going to say more likely.
They do have a cup. They do have a pelt on the wall. A lot of these guys were there already. McCarr, McKinnon. They have some pride here. So I think that they'll probably get one more. Most likely in the same vein that the Carolina Hurricanes did. They're just going to overwhelm. They're just going to blitz the Stars and just overwhelm them.
So you see them getting one more?
I think they get one more. I think they get one more, and then the Stars put their foot on their throat and snuff it out. But I think it's important to note that the Nichushkin thing happened an hour before the puck drop. So you mentioned their body language. You just got punched in the fucking gut an hour before the game that your best player, your best scorer is not going to play, and that he's going to be suspended for 6 months without pay for violation of the substance abuse policy. That's major. Now, that's a misstep as far as I'm concerned with Gary Bettman. You don't have the guy dress. You don't have the guy go out for his warm-ups. He got into uniform and was on the ice warming up, and they had to pull him off the ice and tell him, bro, you're suspended.
Bruh.
Like, come on now. That is absolutely ridiculous. And that's a bad job by the NHL. To break it an hour before puck drop. Do it after morning skate. Right? If you're going to do it where the least amount of eyes are going to be on this guy. Because you know what? Even last year, he entered into treatment during the playoffs. So, let this man have some dignity. Let him actually, let him be a human being. That seems like a low blow by the NHL. But I can see them responding just from the simple fact that, their heads are clearer. The coach will have a better idea of what to do without Nichushkin. Yes, Jonathan Drouin was back. Jonathan Drouin is a more than capable scorer. How are you going to integrate him back into the lineup? I think that's, I think they're going to have some time to prepare because they got blindsided, and I think they'll take one more. But the Dallas Stars, they are here to stay. They are a legit team in this league. And, they get slept on because it's Texas, right? Who gives a shit about hockey? It's Texas. But yeah, they're really damn good. And Jake Ottinger, he's a damn good goalie. Edmonton wishes they had Jake Ottinger, right? They have Skinner and they're starting Picard tonight. That doesn't hold up. That, the stars are aligning, we'll say. And they're loaded for bear. Avalanche got one more in them, though. Just based on reputation.
Your favorite podcast has its own merch line now. Go to the Fade Store with DNZ.com today for all your Fade Route merch needs. I'm talking tank tops, t-shirts, sweatshirts, like yoga pants, we got those too. Like some cool accessories, we got those too. And we're not done yet. We have so much more planned for you, but check out what we have today at the Fade Store with DNZ.com. That's the Fade Store with DNZ.com. The Fade Store presents the Alleged Superstar of the Week Award.
All right, boys and girls, you know what time it is. It's time for the Alleged Superstar of the Week. You know how it goes. We put up a poll on our X account at FadeRouteDNZ and our Instagram poll at FadeRoutePodcast. And you vote. And you vote, and you vote, and you vote. And the winner of said vote gets a shout out on this here show and takes home the coveted ass trophy. And do you know who took home the coveted ass trophy last week, D?
No.
Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
That's a go.
Again.
Yeah. Rashee Rice. You gotta
get out of Texas, man.
You gotta do something.
Texas.
You gotta straighten your life out, man. Yeah. And then there was also the report about the photographer he set up to get the shit kicked out of him. So there's there's a lot there's a lot happening that Kansas City can't be happy about, that Rashee Rice can't be too proud of, and you got to clean it up. But that was last week. This is this week. Who are your nominees for Alleged Superstar of the Week, D?
All right, so the first up, I've got the National Football League. Schedule's coming out tomorrow, but we already know that the Falcons were given the easiest schedule in 2024. That's garbage, trying to push the Kirk Cousins agenda. National Football League, you are my Alleged Superstar of the Week. Number 2, I have the Atlanta Braves taking out Max Fried in the 7th despite pitching a no-no. That's a no-no! Atlanta Braves, you are my Alleged Superstar of the Week. And what is my number 3 here? What does that say? Oh, the NHL. Sam Bennett punched Brad Marchand in the face, knocked him out, then interfered with the goalie, helped interfere with the goalie to put his team ahead, and now they're up 3-1 on Boston. That was atrocious. Now, Brad Marchand missed the rest of Game 3, he missed Game 4, and he's missing tonight's game. And nothing was done by the league. NHL, you are my alleged superstars of the week. What do you got, Z?
I mean, yeah. Like, what can you say about the...
And I don't even like Brad Marchand, but that's trash.
I mean, you see the replay. He leads with his fist.
He
punched him in the face. He did.
He jawed him and knocked him the fuck out. Now the third game.
Yeah, you can't lick people if your jaw's wired shut. So there you go. That's all you need to know. That's why, you are calling out the NHL for that reason. I'm calling out Sam Bennett. What the fuck? What are you doing?
No, he's had enough of Brad Marchand like everybody else in the league because, he's usually the dog and everybody else is the hydrant. In this case, this guy fucking wiped him out. He skated from the other side of the ice and just jawed him. Straight jawed him. There's no hidden agenda here. He didn't use his stick. He punched him in his jaw.
It's a hockey play.
Him out.
It's a solid hockey play.
Solid
hockey play. Oh my god. Sam Bennett thugging it up. There you go. Sam Bennett, you are my alleged superstar of the week. Not so much D's, but I got the NHL. I got the NHL. I'm taking them too because of what they did in Chuskin. Like, come on now.
Yeah, it's not right.
That's a kick in the dick, man. You can't do that shit. It's like, yeah, you're the leading scorer on the team. Yeah, I know I know the game's about to start. I know you're about to go off for warm-ups, but yeah, you're suspended. What? I'm sorry. You guys speaking to my good ear. Like,
who, me?
Me? I get it's his third offense, but come on now. Can you treat this guy with a little bit, a touch, a smidge, a tad of dignity? Especially since this is his third time through the program. Like, well, if I see this and I'm a guy that needs help, why would I want the NHL to help me? Like, why would I, I'll go someplace else. Like, I'll go. If this is your idea of help, no, thank you.
Thanks, but no thanks. No. I'll take my chances out there, Gary.
Yeah. So I'll go to Betty Ford. Like, I'm good. I'm sure there's a place in Palm Springs that I can go to. But I'm fine. Thanks, but no thanks, Gary. NHL, you are my alleged superstar of the week. And then last but not least, Toronto FC. Unbelievable. The head coach alleges that NYCFC coach Nick Cushing hit one of their players in a skirmish the last time that they played each other in March. They have video evidence of it. Slight problem. Nick Cushing and this alleged player were in a part of the building where there are no cameras. So, who took the video, bruh? Is this something like, what is this, some cell phone camera bullshit? On top of that, they just had a match on Saturday. NYCFC blew their doors off, 3-1. Things get a little heated at the end. Head coach Herdman goes up to Nick Cushing and just bumps him. And Cushing's like, what the fuck you want from me? What'd I do? I didn't do anything. Former NYCFC keeper, current Toronto FC keeper, Sean Johnson, sprints through a crowd to get at Strinja Trajasevich, excuse me, my apologies, Strinja, and appeared to bite him. Shit was weird in the sixth. Like, I don't know what the hell was going on. But apparently, Tanasevich, he incited something last time, and there was a little bit more this time. But NYCFC has suspended him, so who knows what was said. But this is a bad look all the way around. But a little bit more lands on Toronto FC. Toronto FC, you are my alleged superstar of the week. I think we've made our cases, and I think we've said our piece. Go to our X account at FadeRouteDNZ. Go to our Instagram poll at FadeRoutePodcast and vote. And for our nominees.
Just do better, boys. Just do better.
This has been The Fade Route with DNZ. Thanks for tuning in. Catch our podcast on Wednesday nights on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So until next time, stay faded, everyone.
Time for us to run the go route. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, turn on subscription notifications, and tell your friends. Spread the word, spread it wide.